Hey everyone, welcome back to Readalong Saturday, and today we are continuing with the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse and moving forward with chapter number 3, Gotama. In the town of Savatthi, every child knew the name of the exalted Buddha, and every house was prepared to fill the alms wish of Gotama's disciples, the silently begging ones. Near the town was Gotama's favorite place to stay, the grove of Jetavana, which the rich merchant Ananthapindika, an obedient worshipper of the Exalted One, had given him and his people as a gift. All the tales and answers which the two young ascetics had received in their search for Gautama's abode had pointed them towards this area. Having arrived at Savatthi in the very first house, before the door of which they stopped to beg, food was offered to them, and they accepted the food. And Siddhartha asked the woman, who handed them the food, "We would like to know, O charitable one, where the Buddha, the most venerable one, dwells. For we are two Samanas from the forest and have come to see him, the perfected one, and to hear the teachings from his mouth." Quoth the woman, "You have truly come to the right place, you Samanas from the forest. You should know in Jetavana, in the garden of Ananthapindika, is where the Exalted One dwells. There you pilgrims shall spend the night, for there is enough space for the innumerable that flock there, to hear the teachings from his mouth." This made Govinda happy, and full of joy he exclaimed, "So we have reached our destination, and our path has come to an end. But tell us, O mother of pilgrims, do you know him, the Buddha? Have you seen him with your own eyes?" Quoth the woman, "Many times I have seen him, the Exalted One. On many days I have seen him, walking through the alleys in silence, wearing his yellow robe, presenting his alms dish in silence at the doors of the houses, and leaving with filled dishes." Delightedly, Govinda listened and wanted to ask and hear much more, but Siddhartha urged him to walk on. They thanked her and left, and hardly had asked for directions, for rather many pilgrims and monks who were from Gautama's community were on their way to the Jetavana. They reached it at night and saw there was constant arrival, shouts, and talks of those who sought shelter and got it. The two Samanas, accustomed to life in the forest, found quickly and without making any noise a place to stay and rested there until the morning. At sunrise, they saw with astonishment what a large crowd of believers and curious people had spent the night there. On all parts of the marvelous grove, monks walked in yellow robes. Under the trees, they sat in deep contemplation or in conversation about spiritual matters. The shady gardens looked like a city full of people, bustling like bees. The majority of the monks went out with the alms dish to collect food for their lunch, the only meal of the day. The Buddha himself, the Enlightened One, was also in the habit of taking this walk to beg in the morning. Siddhartha saw him, and he instantly recognized him, as it was a god had pointed him out. He saw him, a simple man in yellow robe, bearing the alms dish in his hand, walking silently. "Look here," Siddhartha said quietly to Govinda. "This is the Buddha." Govinda looked at the monk in yellow robe intently, who seemed in no way different from the hundreds of other monks, and soon Govinda also realized this is the one, and they followed him and observed him. The Buddha went on his way, humbly, deep in thought, his face calm, neither happy nor sad. He seemed to smile quietly and inwardly, with a hidden smile resembling that of a healthy child. The Buddha walked, wearing the robe and placing his feet just as all of his monks did, according to a precise rule. But his face and his walk, his quietly lowered glance, his quietly dangling hand, and even every finger of his quietly dangling hand expressed peace, expressed perfection, did not search, did not imitate, breathed softly in an unwithering calm, an unwavering light, and untouchable peace. Thus Gotama walked towards the town to collect the alms, and two Samanas recognized him solely by the perfection of his calm, by the quietness of his appearance, in which there was no searching, no desire, no imitation, no effort to be seen, only light and peace. Today we will hear the teachings from his mouth, said Govinda. Siddhartha did not answer. He felt like curiosity for the teachings. He did not believe that they would teach him anything new, but he had, just as Govinda had, heard the contents of this Buddha's teaching again and again, though these reports only represented second or third hand information. But attentively he looked at Gotama's head, his shoulder, his feet, his quietly dangling hand, and it seemed to him as if every joint of every finger on his hand was of these teachings, spoke, breathed, exuded the fragrance of truth. This man, this Buddha, was truly a holy man down to the tip of his last finger. This man was holy. Never before had Siddhartha venerated a person so much. Never before had he loved a person as much as this one. They both followed Buddha until they reached the town and returned in silence, for they themselves intended to abstain from food on this day. They saw Gautama returning. What he ate could not even have satisfied a bird's appetite, and they saw him retiring to the shade of the mango trees. But in the evening, when the heat abated and everyone in the camp started to bustle about, they heard that Buddha's voice, and it was perfect, was of perfect calmness, was full of peace. Gautama taught the teachings of suffering, of origin of suffering, of the way to relieve suffering. Calmly and clearly his quiet speech flowed on. Suffering was life. Full of suffering was the world, but salvation from suffering had been found. Salvation could be obtained by him who walked the path of Buddha. With a soft yet firm voice, that exalted one spoke, taught the four main doctrines, taught the eightfold path. Patiently he went along the usual path of his teachings, of the examples, of the repetitions. Brightly and quietly his voice hovered over the listeners, like light, like starry sky. Night had already fallen when Buddha ended his speech. Many a pilgrim stepped forward and asked to accept it into the community, sought refuge in the teachings, and Gautama accepted them, saying, "You have heard the teachings well, it has come to you well. Thus join us and walk in holiness to put an end to all suffering." Behold, then Govinda, the shy one, also stepped forward and spoke. "I also take my refuge in the Exalted One and his teachings." And he asked to be accepted in the community of his disciples and was accepted. Right afterwards, when Buddha had retired for the night, Govinda turned to Siddhartha and spoke eagerly. "Siddhartha, it is not my place to scold you. We have both heard the Exalted One. We have both perceived in the teachings. Govinda has heard the teaching. He had taken refuge in it. But you, my honored friend, don't you also want to walk the path of salvation? Why do you hesitate? Why do you want to wait longer?" Siddhartha awakened as if he had been asleep when he heard Govinda's word. For a long time he looked into Govinda's face. Then he spoke quietly in a voice without mockery. "Govinda, my friend, now you have taken this step, you have chosen this path. Always, O Govinda, you've been my friend, you've always walked one step behind me. Often I have thought, won't Govinda for once also take a step by himself, without me, out of his own soul? Behold, now you have turned into a man and are choosing your path for yourself. I wish that you would follow it up to its end, O my friend, that you shall find salvation." Govinda, not completely understanding it yet, repeated his question in an impatient tone. "Speak up, I beg you, my dear. Tell me, since it could not be any other way, that you also, my learned friend, will take refuge in the exalted Buddha." Siddhartha placed his hand on Govinda's shoulder. "You failed to hear my good wish for you, O Govinda. I am repeating it. I wish that you would go this path to its end, and you shall find salvation." In this moment, Govinda realized that his friend had left him, and he started to weep. "Siddhartha," he lamented. Siddhartha spoke to him kindly. "Don't forget, Govinda. that you are now one of the Samanas of the Buddha. You have renounced your home and your parents, your birth and possession, renounced your free will, renounced all friendship. This is what the teachings require. It is what the Exalted One wants. This is what you wanted for yourself. Tomorrow, O Govinda, I'll leave you. For a long time, the friends continued walking in the grove. For a long time, they lay there and found no sleep. And over again, Govinda urged his friend to tell him why he would not seek refuge in Gotama's teachings. What fault did he find in them? But Siddhartha turned him away every time and said, "Be content, Govinda, very good at the teachings of the Exalted One. How could I find a fault in them?" Very early in the morning, a follower of Buddha, one of his oldest monks, went through the garden and called all those to him who had novices taken their refuge in the teaching to dress them up in yellow robe and instruct in the first teachings and duties of their position. Then Govinda broke loose, embraced once again his childhood friend, and left with the novices. But Siddhartha walked through the grove lost in thought. Then he happened to meet Gotama, the Exalted One, and when he greeted him with respect and Buddha's glance was full of kindness and calm, the young man summoned his courage and asked the Venerable One for permission to talk to him. Silently, the Exalted One nodded his consent. Quote Siddhartha: "Yesterday, O Exalted One, I had been privileged to hear your wondrous teachings. Together with my friend, I had come from afar to hear you. And now my friend is going to stay with your people. He has taken his refuge with you. But I will again start on my pilgrimage." "As you please," the Venerable One spoke politely. "Too bold in my speech," Siddhartha continued, "but I do not want to leave the Exalted One without having honestly told him my thoughts. Does it please the Venerable One to listen to me for one moment longer?" Silently, the Buddha nodded his approval. Quote Siddhartha: "One thing, O most Venerable One, I have admired in your teachings most of all. Everything in your teaching is perfectly clear, is proven. You are presenting the world as a perfect chain, a chain which is never and nowhere broken, an eternal chain, the links of which are causes and effects. Never before has this been seen so clearly. Never before has this been presented so irrefutably truly. The heart of every Brahman has to beat stronger with love when he has seen the world through your teachings, perfectly connected, without gaps, clear as crystal, not depending on chance, not depending on gods. Whether it may be good or bad, whether living according to it would be suffering or joy, I do not wish to discuss. Possibly this is not essential, but the uniformity of the world, that everything which happens is connected, that the great and small things are all encompassed by the same forces of time, by the same law of causes, of coming into being and of dying, this is what shines brightly out of your exalted teaching, O perfected one. But according to your very own teaching, this unity and necessary sequence of all things is nevertheless broken in one place. Through a small gap, this world of unity is invaded by something alien, something new, something which had not been there before, and which cannot be demonstrated, cannot be proven. And your teachings are about overcoming the world of salvation. But with this small gap, with this small breach, the eternal and uniform law of the world is breaking apart again and becoming void. Please forgive me for expressing this objection. Quietly, Gotama had listened to him, unmoved. Now he spoke the perfected one, with his kind, with his polite and clear voice. "You heard the teaching, O son of Brahman, and good for you that you thought about it thus deeply. You have found a gap in it, an error. You should think about this further. But be warned, O seeker of knowledge, of the thicket of opinions and of arguments about words. There is nothing to opinions. They may be beautiful or ugly, smart or foolish. Everyone can support them or discard them, but the teachings you've heard from me are no opinion, and their goal is to not explain the world to those who seek knowledge. They have a different goal. Their goal is salvation from suffering. This is what Gotama teaches, nothing else. I wish that you, O exalted one, would not be angry with me, said the young man. I have not spoken to you like this to argue with you, to argue about words. You are truly right. There is a little to opinions. But let me say this one more thing. I have not doubted you for a single moment. I have not doubted for a single moment that you are Buddha, that you have reached the goal, the highest goal towards which so many thousands of Brahmins and sons of Brahmins are heading. You have found salvation from death. It has come to you in the course of your own search, on your own path, through thoughts, through meditation, through realizations, through enlightenment. It has not come to you by means of teachings. And thus, in my thought, O exalted one, nobody will obtain salvation by means of teachings. You will not be able to convey to anybody, O Venerable One, in the words and through teachings, what has happened to you in the hour of enlightenment. The teachings of the enlightened Buddha contain much. It teaches many ought to live righteously, to avoid evil. But there is one thing which there is so clear these so venerable teachings do not contain. They do not contain the mystery of what the exalted one has experienced for himself. He alone among hundreds of thousands. This is what I have thought and realized when I have heard the teachings. This is why I am continuing my travels, not to seek other better teachings, for I know there are none, but to depart from all teachings and all teachers and to reach my goal by myself or to die. But often I think of this day, O exalted one, and of this hour when my eyes beheld a holy man. The Buddha's eyes quietly looked to the ground, quietly in perfect equanimity. His inscrutable face was smiling. I wish, the Venerable One spoke slowly, that your thoughts shall not be an error, that you shall reach the goal. But tell me, have you seen the multitude of my Samanas, my many brothers, who have taken refuge in the teachings? And do you believe, O stranger, O Samana, do you believe that it would be better for them all to abandon the teachings and to return into the life of world and of desires? Far is such a thought from my mind, exclaimed Siddhartha. I wish that they shall all stay with the teachings, that they shall reach their goal. It is not my place to judge another person's life, only for myself. For myself alone, I must decide, I must choose, I must refuse. Salvation from the self is what we Samana search for, O exalted one. If I were merely one of your disciples, O venerable one, I'd fear that it might happen to me. That only seemingly, only deceptively, myself would be calm and be redeemed, but the truth, it would live on and grow. For then I had replaced myself with teachings, my duty to follow you, my love for you, and the community of the monks. With half a smile, with an unwavering openness and kindness, Gotama looked into the stranger's eyes and bade him to leave with a hardly noticeable gesture. You are wise, O Samana, the Venerable One spoke. You know how to talk wisely, my friend. Beware of too much wisdom. Buddha turned away, and his glance and half a smile remained forever etched in Siddhartha's memory. I had never seen a person glance and smile, sit and walk this way, he thought truly. I wish to be able to glance and smile, sit and walk this way too. Thus free, thus vulnerable, thus concealed, thus open, thus childlike and mysterious. Truly, only a person who has succeeded in reaching the innermost part of his self would glance and walk this way. Well, so I also will seek to reach the innermost part of myself. I saw a man, Siddhartha thought, a single man, before whom I would have to lower my glance. I do not want to lower my glance before any other, not before any other. No teachings will entice me anymore, since this man's teachings have not enticed me. I am deprived by the Buddha, taught Siddhartha. I am deprived, and even more he has given to me. He has deprived me of my friend, the one who had believed in me and now believes in him, who had been my shadow and is now Gotama's shadow, but he has given me Siddhartha, myself. Wow. So that was it for today's read along. I hope you like this chapter, and I will see you next time. Keep watching and keep reading.